Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to Utility Sports. Today, we're going to be doing another rendition here of the 2021 NFL mock draft in order to be entered for a Jacksonville Jaguars Trevor Lawrence jersey giveaway here on the channel. Make sure to like today's video, leave a comment on it. It can be anything you want. It could be Trevor Lawrence jersey giveaway, or it could be something about the mock draft if you guys want. And also, hit that subscribe button to be entered. We are super close to 2,500 subscribers. It'd be awesome if you guys could get us there after today's video. We would really appreciate it. And we have some breaking news coming into the video as well that will shake up our mock draft maybe just a little bit. The Dolphins and the San Francisco 49ers have agreed to a draft trade. San Francisco gets pick number 3 overall, and Miami gets pick number 12, a third-round pick this year, and future first-round picks. That is 2 of them, I believe. And that is a massive return for pick number 3, getting multiple future firsts as well as a first-round pick this year. And it kind of shakes things up. San Francisco, maybe they're looking at a quarterback. Doesn't seem like Garoppolo is going to get moved quite yet, but they are still in the market. We'll see where we go with San Francisco here in this mock draft at pick 3. And now moving in here, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars selecting first overall. And they opt to select quarterback Trevor Lawrence. He's going to look very good there in that Jacksonville teal. He will be a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars when it's all said and done. And he's going to be a great asset for them. He's going to build up this franchise. Urban Meyer has made a lot of moves here in free agency. They brought in some wide receivers, also really improved that defense. They have a ton of assets here in the draft as well. Expect Jacksonville to absolutely be moving in the right direction with Trevor Lawrence under center there in Duval County. Now at pick 2, we have a trade here to announce. The Carolina Panthers are trading up to pick number 2 in this mock draft in a trade with the New York Jets, and they are doing so to jump over San Francisco and grab quarterback Zach Wilson out of BYU. He had a phenomenal season there at BYU. I believe he threw 45 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions, threw with extreme accuracy. Over 70% of his balls were completed, can throw it outside the numbers, can throw it on the move, manipulates the pocket well with his feet. He is a great quarterback, and I would be surprised if he does not go in the top 2 of the NFL draft. We'll see. The New York Jets, it sounds like Corey Davis was told Sam Darnold is the starter. Will the Jets stay put and draft Zach Wilson? At this point, I think they trade down with the Panthers. Panthers move up to jump over San Francisco now and make sure Zach Wilson is their guy for head coach Matt Rule and offensive coordinator Joe Brady for the future. Pick number 3 now. The San Francisco 49ers, this is the first time we've seen them here all year long. Which way are we opting for them to go? Are they moving up for a big-time playmaker, or are they opting to move up to grab their franchise quarterback? And it is the latter here. They're going to select TREY LANCE with the 3rd overall selection. Maybe they want to sit TREY LANCE behind Jimmy Garoppolo for a year, and I think he would be really benefited by doing so. He's a young quarterback. Most of his film was when he was a 19-year-old. Playing college football for the first time for NDSU, looked really good, accurate with the football, made good decisions. Didn't look super great in his one exhibition game this year before the season ultimately did end for NDSU due to COVID-19. But TREY LANCE is going to be a very dynamic quarterback in the NFL, can really run, use his legs well, a good throw of the football. We saw in his pro day how well he can air the ball out. San Francisco moves up, grabs their quarterback at 3, TREY LANCE, the quarterback of the future for the San Francisco 49ers. Moving into pick 4 now, we have the Atlanta Falcons still on the clock, and they're opting to stick here at this point. They're happy with who's still on the board, and that is right. Quarterback Justin Fields is joining the Atlanta Falcons. And this, again, now 2 mock drafts in a row, we've had 4 quarterbacks go in the top 4, but interestingly enough, it's been to different teams each time except for Trevor Lawrence. There is a lot of variety in the mock draft, even with the same 4 players going in the top 4. It's really interesting who we could see go top 4. Possibly the quarterback slide a little bit too. Before the San Francisco 49ers trade, I was preparing for a little bit of a slide on some of these quarterbacks. Them moving back up into the top 4 kept some of these guys up this high. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think it's possible we see 4 quarterbacks go in the top 4? It's hard to see that not happening, especially if a team like Carolina does jump up with the New York Jets. It doesn't really make a lot of sense for the Jets to stay put. Now with San Francisco likely taking a quarterback at 3, the Falcons probably looking quarterback at 4. It doesn't make a lot of sense for the Jets to stay at 2 if they don't plan on drafting Zach Wilson. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about that scenario. Pick 5 now, we got Cincinnati on the board, and boy, oh boy, are they happy about where they sit. Not only do they get their choice at an offensive tackle or a wide receiver, but the 2 best are still on the board for each position. At this point, they opt for Ja'Marr Chase, the wide receiver out of LSU. Joe Burrow is going to be in their ear saying, hey, get me my weapon from LSU, from Baton Rouge, that I threw over 20 touchdowns to in a single college season. Ja'Marr Chase is going to be a problem in the NFL. He creates elite separation off the line of scrimmage. He has the best footwork in the class, and it isn't even close. He is the top wide receiver. Even if you classify Kyle Pitts as a wide receiver, Ja'Marr Chase would still be the best wide receiver in this class, in my opinion. I think he's the second best player in the entire class. I think he's a really, really underrated prospect all in all. And I think when the time comes, if he lands in Cincinnati, he will be a great pairing with Joe Burrow once again. Now moving on to pick 6, we got the Philadelphia Eagles. They're also in the market for a wide receiver, and they do opt to go that way. They select wide receiver Jaylen Waddle out of Alabama, the speedster. Really quick twitch, can get off the line of scrimmage well, but is magnificent after the catch. Look for the Eagles to add a weapon for Jalen Hurts. They want him to develop. They want him to find a lot of success in the NFL, and no better option than Jaylen Waddle here at pick 6. It's possible I could see them going Kyle Pitts as well. However, they still do have Dallas Goedert at tight end, even if they do trade Zach Ertz. I think it's kind of a pick 'em at this point between Waddle and Pitts. I think Pitts is the better player. However, I think Waddle makes a lot of sense in terms of what he gives you after the catch, especially with the Eagles moving on from Alshon Jeffrey. They badly need some wide receivers on the outside there. Pick number 7 now, we've got the Detroit Lions on the clock. They took TJ Hawkinson a few years back, so I'm not really looking at Kyle Pitts here yet at this point. Instead, we're going to look along the offensive line of scrimmage, and they're going to go for tackle Penei Sewell, the best run blocker in the class. It's going to be about opening up the run game for DeAndre Swift, trying to really build it that way. Jared Goff, hopefully they can develop him a little bit more too. They need some wide receiver help as well. If they do take Penei Sewell, they will come back later and address the wide receiver position in the NFL draft in rounds 2 through 7 some other way. To tackle Penei Sewell goes here at pick 7 though for Detroit. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about Sewell landing with the Lions. Pick 8 now, we got the New York Jets. Remember, they traded down from pick 2 to pick 8 with the Carolina Panthers. And at this point, Kyle Pitts has fallen, and he will be the selection. The New York Jets badly need to improve their tight end position, and there is no better option than Kyle Pitts. He is an elite receiver. He's going to be arguably one of the top pass catchers in this class, including the top wide receivers. He's going to be a beast in the NFL, and I think the New York Jets, even after adding Corey Davis, could use another pass catcher. Kyle Pitts is going to be a great option for them, and I think all in all, Joe Douglas would be very happy with what he's done this offseason, really improved the defensive line, which we badly needed to do. Now he comes back, gets another playmaker. I'm happy with the way that the New York Jets are trending at this point. Denver Broncos here now at 9. We've been mocking Caleb Farley to them for a few mocks now in a row. However, they addressed their cornerback position. They brought in Kyle Fuller, who has history with Vic Fangio. They also paid Ronald Darby on a 3-year contract. They're going to pass on cornerback at this point in this mock draft. I still think Farley is a possibility, but in this mock draft, I have them going with linebacker Micah Parsons. They could use someone who can play next to Josie Jewell in that linebacker situation, and Micah Parsons, an extremely elite athlete. We saw what he was able to run in his 40 time at his pro day. He is a beast out of Penn State. He's going to be a problem in the NFL. I liken him a lot to Anthony Barr, and the Broncos add someone who's going to give them some versatility as a pass rusher, a former D end, and also at this point, the Denver Broncos bring in a guy who's great in pass coverage as well. Micah Parsons can do it all. Gets washed out in the run game just a little bit, but I think all in all, he is still worthy of a top 10 pick. Pick 10 now, we have the Dallas Cowboys, and they're going to stick at the cornerback position still, and they're going to offer Patrick Surtain. He ran very well at his pro day, 4.46 for Patrick Surtain. He's 6'2", has great length, very good arms. He is extremely strong as well. He is going to be a press machine in the NFL, and I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to opt for him over Caleb Farley, just with what we've seen in recent weeks coming from the pro days. Patrick Surtain probably going to be the first cornerback off the board if Denver does pass on a cornerback. And here now, the Cowboys grab Patrick Surtain, their second Alabama corner in that cornerback room. Him and Trayvon Diggs are going to be a nice young duo moving forward for the Dallas Cowboys. Pick 11, we got the New York Giants here. And the New York Giants are an interesting team to mock for. It's a lot of different ways they could go. They address wide receiver with Kenny Golladay, so we're not going to opt for them to take a wide receiver at this point. They also grabbed Adoree Jackson. They've done a great job in free agency building up the outside part of this team. Now they have to come back and address the offensive line a little bit more. Grab Rashawn Slater. I know they took Andrew Thomas last year, but Rashawn Slater is just too good to pass up here at pick 11. He is the best pass blocker in the class, and boy, do they badly need to protect Daniel Jones there. He's had issues with fumbling. He's been hit a ton in his first few years in the NFL. Rashawn Slater is going to come in, be a great tackle for the New York Giants. He's going to help build up that offensive line. Dave Gettleman's done a really good job this year in free agency addressing the outside positions. Now they come in, grab a tackle, and the New York Giants are trending in the right direction at this point. Pick 12, now we have the Miami Dolphins here. Remember, they traded down to pick 12 just today with the San Francisco 49ers. And at pick 12, they grab Kwity Paye, the edge out of Michigan. He is an athletic monster. He's going to be an interesting edge piece for Brian Flores. I think this is one of the tougher places to mock the Dolphins now at this point because you have the two top tackles off the board. Devonta Smith was still on the board, but I had them passing on him because they did pick up Will Fuller for 1 year. I think he's still a possibility here, but I don't know if I'm necessarily sold on it. They have two outside receivers in Will Fuller and Devontae Parker. Kadarius Toney feels like a little bit of a reach here at 12. I just don't see that either. I'd love to know what you guys think the Dolphins are going to target here at pick 12. Right now I'm opting for Kwity Paye, but I think that there is a lot of fluidity with this pick at this point in the NFL mock draft season. Pick 13, we got the Chargers on the board here, and they're going to opt for Caleb Farley. Farley falls a little bit now in this mock draft, usually going at around pick 9, falls to 13, but the Chargers get an excellent young corner who has great ball skills, can make plays on the ball, undercuts it very well, good ball skills, especially when the ball is thrown in the air over the top as well. He can really flip his hips well, can maneuver his body in ways that he can not only cover the wide receiver, but also box him out and put himself in position to get interceptions. I think he's going to be a very good NFL cornerback, and I think the Chargers would be very happy to grab him here at 13. Tom Telesco, well known for hitting on his picks in the first round. Caleb Farley would be another example of him hitting on his draft pick. Pick 14, we got Minnesota on the clock. Last mock draft, we had them look at linebacker Micah Parsons. However, he's off the board at this point, so they're going to go along the offensive line. They're going to take guard/tackle Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC. He is the perfect fit into what they need to do. Ezra Cleveland, some want him to be a tackle. Some want him to stay in at guard where he was super successful this year. Elijah Vera Tucker gives them that flexibility that, hey, maybe we try Ezra Cleveland out at tackle. If it's not working, we just move him back into guard, and Elijah Vera Tucker can be our long-term tackle. He was not only good at both spots for USC, but he was excellent as a guard and as a tackle for the USC Trojans. He would be a home run pick for the Minnesota Vikings at pick 14, in my opinion. At pick 15, now we have the New England Patriots on the clock. Last mock draft, we had opted for Rashad Bateman because the top 3 wide receivers went 5 through 7. However, Devonta Smith was still on the board, and he's going to be that elite outside option that the Patriots need to grab now. He's a little frail, a little thin, and they already added Nelson Aguilar to stretch the field. So you're wondering why Devonta Smith? Just because I think he has the highest stock of the guys remaining. I actually think Rashad Bateman could be a better wide receiver in the NFL than Devonta Smith. However, I think the Patriots would opt for Devonta Smith at this point. Remember, this isn't necessarily what I would do. This is what I'm projecting will happen in the 2021 NFL draft. Devonta Smith going to New England here now at pick 15. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think an Alabama player like Devonta Smith, Nick Saban, is going to be telling Bill Belichick all good things about Devonta Smith. He goes 15th overall. Pick 16, the Arizona Cardinals are on the clock. They address their defensive line position. They also added a cornerback just yesterday with Malcolm Butler. However, I think they go and double dip at the cornerback position, grab J.C. Horn out of South Carolina, add a nice young player. That's the position of need for the Arizona Cardinals at this point is cornerback. I think they could also look at running back. Najee Harris would be a possibility, but at the same time, I think right now the Cardinals would opt for another cornerback. J.C. Horn is the selection at pick 16. Pick 17, we got the Las Vegas Raiders on the board now, and at this point, they're going to opt for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah out of Notre Dame, This is a perfect fit, not only for their defense, but for their draft history, what Mike Mayock and John Gruden like to do in the NFL draft. They draft from big-time programs. Notre Dame is a big-time program, and they draft big-time players from those programs. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is an excellent example of this. He fits right into what they need. I know Corey Littleton and Nick Kwiatkowski came back on restructured deals. However, the Raiders need to improve up the middle of that defense. They put a lot of emphasis on their D-line and free agency, which they badly needed to do. Now Owusu-Koramoah is going to be another big-time implementation into their front seven. He comes in for Las Vegas, is a great option, does a lot of different things, is an absolute field general, great in the run game, very good in the pass game as well. He's going to be a beast in the NFL. I think it's possible he could even be the top linebacker from this class, even with Micah Parsons. That's how good Owusu-Koramoah is going to be. I kind of liken him a little bit to Eric Kendricks. We'll see exactly what we're having on. And we actually have a trade to announce here as well. There is another trade going on. Miami is moving back up to pick number 6 from 12. That throws a huge wrench into things here. They're also sending a 2022 first. So they jump down from 3 to 6, but pick up extra assets in the process doing so. We now have Philadelphia moving down to pick 12, which is surprising to me. And the Miami Dolphins are back up at pick 6. That is completely changing what this mock draft could look like. Let's go back real quick and maybe guesstimate what we could see the Dolphins doing at pick 6. Here now, the Dolphins at 6. Maybe they're looking at Jaylen Waddle. Let's actually stick with Jaylen Waddle being the pick at 6. I love that for them. Now the Eagles at 12. That is very difficult. Maybe they would opt for Devonta Smith, which would push up some of these other guys. Devonta Smith wouldn't go here anymore. That'll really mess up the draft order here a little bit. Make sure you guys are subscribed for all of our future mock drafts as well, because this is a crazy day. The Miami Dolphins are making a ton of moves. Here we have another trade. The Dolphins are involved in this one as well. The Indianapolis Colts. This is a mock trade here. Move up from pick 21 to pick 18 with the Miami Dolphins, and they opt to grab tackle Jalen Mayfield. They jump over the Bears and the Washington football team to get the tackle that they want to be their future left tackle to replace Anthony Costanzo. I think this is a very likely move on draft day to see the Colts jump up a few spots to get ahead of some of those teams right in front of them. Now at pick 19, we've got Washington here, and they're going to opt for quarterback Mac Jones. He slid a little bit. Something he could even be the third or second best quarterback from this class. I don't really see that. I think he is a solid 5th option in this class. I don't see him touching the other 4 quarterbacks. Washington grabs him here at 19. Look for him to be sitting a year behind Ryan Fitzpatrick. Maybe Taylor Heineke gets that starting job. I don't want to rule that out. However, Mac Jones is the long-term answer for Washington and head coach Ron Rivera. Pick 20, we have the Chicago Bears now on the clock, and they're going to look at tackle Christian DARRISAW out of Virginia Tech. He goes to the Chicago Bears, and this is a big-time addition. He's going to be a very good tackle in the NFL. He comes in for Chicago, really solidifies the left side of that offensive line. They need to protect Andy Dalton, who's their new QB1. And at this point, I don't love what Chicago's done this offseason, but this would be a step in the right direction, grabbing a very, very good tackle like Christian DARRISAW out of Virginia Tech. Pick 21 now. Remember, I have the Miami Dolphins here because they did opt to trade down, and we're going with TEVEN Jenkins, the offensive tackle out of Oklahoma State. I think he's going to be a really nice option in the NFL at that tackle position. And remember, now with them grabbing a wide receiver at 6 and Jaylen Waddle in this mock draft, now they don't necessarily need to worry as much about that position. They go grab a tackle to protect Tua Tagovailoa, and there's no concern about him being a right tackle because that is the blind side of Tua Tagovailoa. Let me know what you guys think about the Miami Dolphins grabbing TEVEN Jenkins at pick 21. Pick 22, we have now the Tennessee Titans on the clock, and they are going to select wide receiver Rashod Bateman. He has a lot of really good potential in the NFL. He's an elite route runner, good speed, good size. He's taller than the prototypical wide receiver. He's about 6'2", can run away from guys, ran a sub 4.40 at his pro day, and he's going to be a really, really good NFL wide receiver. He's got one of the top footworks in the class, probably just behind Ja'Marr Chase in my estimation. Off the line of scrimmage, he's going to be really good. The Titans need to find a replacement to Corey Davis, and not only do they find a replacement, but they find an improvement here at pick 22, in my opinion. Pick 23, we have the New York Jets now on the board, and they've had a very busy offseason. We had them draft Kyle Pitts at pick 8. They went out and got Corey Davis, who was just mentioned, the pick right before this from the Tennessee Titans. They also got Carl Lawson, really built out that defensive line too. Sheldon Rankins being another key addition there. And now at this point, they're going to come back and really improve that defensive line a little bit more. They're going to get a young pass rush option in Jaelan Phillips. But not only is he a good pass rusher, he is absolutely phenomenal in the run game coming out of the University of Miami. We know how important it is for Robert Saleh's defensive lines to not only be good in the pass game, but to be excellent in the run game. Jaelan Phillips is going to be that. I would love this pickup for the New York Jets. Kyle Pitts and Jaelan Phillips in round 1 sounds like a win-win for New York Jets football moving forward. Pick 24, we have the Steelers on the clock, and they opt for running back Najee Harris. We've mocked this a few times on the channel. It just makes a lot of sense, right? James Conner, I'm not sure what his market is. The Steelers need to find a long-term running back replacement, someone who's going to be cheap, and they get Najee Harris on that 5th-year option now. They're going to have long-term team control on him as they figure out who their long-term quarterback is behind Ben Roethlisberger, as they also try and negotiate at other positions with guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, who's only on a 1-year deal. Pick 25, Jacksonville is on the clock again. Trevor Lawrence was the first overall pick, and they come back and draft Trayvon Merrick. I was a little torn here. Some of the tackles have flown off the board, but at the same time, I feel like for Jacksonville, they need to go out, get their safety of the future to put next to Rayshawn Jenkins, who they added in free agency. Trayvon Merrick going to be excellent in the box, a very good tackler, but also very solid in coverage. I think he's all in all the best safety in the class, and I think it's a pretty big gap between him and the next safety as well. Jaguars continue to improve that defense under head coach Urban Meyer. They're going to build up a culture there, and they're going to be a much better football team this year than they were last season. Now at this point, the Cleveland Browns are on the clock at pick 26. They opt for linebacker Zaven Collins. Gives them a little bit of both as a pass rusher and also as a guy who can play off-ball linebacker a little bit. I think that this is a good situation for Cleveland. He did it all for Tulsa last year. He was a big part of their success, and I think coming into Cleveland, they're going to build up that linebacker core. They brought in Takk McKinley on a deal that I thought was very team-friendly with good upside to play across from Myles Garrett. I think Zaven Collins is the best selection now at this point for the Cleveland Browns. Pick 27, the Baltimore Ravens are on the clock, and they're going to opt for a wide receiver we had not have gone in the first round. You see him with the pacifier here, a very Ole Miss thing to do. That is Elijah Moore. He ran extremely well at the combine, sub 4.4 40 time as well for Elijah Moore. And he is very good in contested catch situations. I believe he ranks 2nd in the last 2 years in all of college football in contested catches. He is a beast in traffic, and I think that is a really good situation for the Ravens. They need to have someone who's going to be a good big-time target for Lamar Jackson, and Elijah Moore is going to be a home run pick for the Ravens at 27. Pick 28, now we got the New Orleans Saints on the clock, and they go for Asante Samuel Jr., the cornerback out of Florida State. His dad played in the NFL. The Saints need some help at that cornerback position, and I don't think there's a much better option than Asante Samuel Jr. on the board at this point. You could maybe argue Eric Stokes, who ran really, really well in his 40 time, but Asante Samuel Jr. I think is a little bit more polished with his footwork. I think he's a little bit more reliable with his eyes, and he's less grabby than Eric Stokes. He doesn't need as much development at this point as Eric Stokes does, despite, maybe not being as physically gifted as a guy like Eric Stokes. I think Asante Samuel Jr. is a great pick here at 28 for New Orleans. Pick 29, now we got the Green Bay Packers on the clock. They brought back Kevin King on a 1-year, $6 million deal, so maybe they're not going to look too closely at that cornerback position. Instead, we have them going wide receiver Terrace Marshall Jr. out of LSU. I think he's been overshadowed by the greatness of some of the other wide receivers in this class. Let's not forget, he's been very productive for LSU, especially when Joe Burrow was throwing the football for them. Last year, they had a lot of issues with that quarterback position. They just couldn't really get a guy to be their lead quarterback. And Terrace Marshall Jr., his statistics did take a little bit of a hit because of that. But I still think he's a great option for the NFL. He's very good at contested catch situations as well, similar to Elijah Moore. He's not going to run as well as Elijah Moore, in my opinion, but I think he's still a very good option. He's a great red zone threat for the Green Bay Packers, and I think he's going to be a very, very nice fit there in Green Bay if he is the selection. Pick 30, we've got the Buffalo Bills on the clock, and they're going to opt for running back Travis Etienne out of Clemson. He is going to be a great asset in the pass game, something Brian Daboll absolutely loves to do is put the ball in the hands of Josh Allen, let him make decisions, and they get arguably the best running back in the class when it comes to catching the football and making things happen after the catch. He is a broken tackle machine. I think he has a really good potential in the NFL when it comes to functioning out of the pass game. There's a lot of analysts that kind of liken him to Jamal Charles. I think that's a little bit of a high expectation for Travis Etienne. I don't necessarily see him reaching that ceiling, but at the same time, I think he's going to be a very good option nonetheless, and Buffalo would be very lucky to grab him at pick 30. Now moving to pick 31, the Kansas City Chiefs are looking at the tackle position. They're going to opt for Dylan Radins out of NDSU. And the big reason why they're going to go tackle Dylan Radins is because they badly need that position. They're at a point where even if the tackles have run a little bit, they need to still grab one in the first round. You could argue that they could look wide receiver, but I think tackle is the much bigger need. You need to protect your $500 million asset in Patrick Mahomes, and there's no excuse to not look at the tackle position as a key need for this team at this point. Their guards are going to be absolutely phenomenal next season. Kyle Long and also Joe Thuney, but you need to have tackles to protect Patrick Mahomes. Dylan Radins going to be a great option, and he's also going to help them in the run game to spring Clyde Edwards-Helaire for a few big-time runs. Now, the final pick of the first round. Remember, guys, hit that like button if you haven't already. It means a lot helping us out here at Utility Sports. We'd love to have you subscribed and have you be a part of what we do here. We do a lot of different live streams. Love to answer questions in the chat as well. Make sure to leave some comments on today's video. Pick 32, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers opt to select interior defensive lineman Christian Barmore. I know they brought back Ndamukong Suh. I was surprised they were able to do so, but it's on a short one-year deal. Christian Barmore is going to be the future interior defensive lineman for Tampa Bay. This also gives them some injury insurance in case anyone on their front four does go down. Barmore can play across the defensive line. He's absolutely phenomenal in the run game. He's a block-shedding machine, and I think the Buccaneers would be very happy to grab Barmore if he fell all the way down to 32. He's a guy I think that could go as high as pick 18 even. We'll see where he does land in the NFL draft, but all in all, I think Christian Barmore is a great selection. Let me know in the comments what you thought about today's video. If you guys did enjoy, that would be nice having some kind words from you guys. Also, crazy news with the Miami Dolphins moving down from 3 to 12, back up to 6. That was during the video that they moved back up to 6. So I know that the video does not necessarily have the visuals to match that. But remember, Jaylen Waddle would go to Miami there, and perhaps the Eagles would grab Devonta Smith at pick 12. That is kind of what I am hearing at this point. That's what I'm thinking off the top of my head. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. We'll catch you in the very next one.